Hello, everyone, and welcome to, of course, the live Friday stream. My name's Tom from FX Evolution, or Thomas, as some of you guys know me. I'm joined by my trading partner, Tyrone, today. Should we put him full screen? I'm not sure. But hey, Ty, how you going, man? Big week,
Hey,
eh?
everyone. How you going? Loving Friday night. Friday night for us anyway. Yeah, very, very excited about tonight's market action and very excited about the weekend, actually. It's been a big week. So glad to be here.
Could be a pretty big Friday session as well. So today, it's all about Skynet, guys. Skynet is the discussion point that many people are getting into. Elon Musk, of course, unveiling plans of the robot human. And this is the Tesla's new artificial intelligence unit, or whatever you want to call it. Hey, I'm a big believer in AI. I'm not sure if this is the Terminator. What do you guys think about it in the comments? Let us know. Is this a big win for Tesla or a big loss? I noticed the stock is up in pre-market trade. We'll be talking about that. We'll be bringing some options in just a few seconds. So as usual in this show, we will be covering stock market. We will be covering the crypto markets a little bit, and we'll be covering everything you really need to know about the major commodities as well that we're seeing today. And hopefully we get a little bit of action. I'm ready for action, Ty. You ready for action?
Damn straight. It's time to break that 50. Let's get it down. Come on. We need action. We need to get 3 loads in, don't we? Surely.
Yeah, we do. We do need to get the reloads in. Scott Morgan says bot equals 3D printing. Is it too early? 3D printing a good technology, but a little bit early. I'm not sure about this thing, but I like the idea. I mean, I'm big on AI, so it's all cool. Let's get into the charts though, Ty. Let's get started by discussing Tesla itself as people bring in their comments about what they think, if it's good for Tesla or not. So we're looking at a 684 into the pre-open here. You've got 1.57% up, 684. I think it's in the mumble jumble, kind of in the middle of nowhere land. It hasn't gone above 700. As we know, that's a trigger point. And we also have, if you don't already have this chart on there, you should certainly have some kind of trend line going through these last lows. Ty, you like that trend line? I don't mind it. Like, it's obviously rough, but this is clearly a point where the buyers have been committed to Tesla. You like that level?
Yeah, it's there. I mean, it's a trend line that's there, isn't it? But gee, I mean, has he got a box of tricks that he pulls out every time he wants Tesla to go up? Like, it's just, I reckon
yeah. Overpromise.
He's got products in his little case that he just pulls out whenever he feels he needs to. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think of iRobot. You ever see iRobot, or is that before your time? The Will Smith movie.
iRobot? No, yeah. It was a thing. I don't think I watched it twice though. That was a film I watched once. It's like that WALL-E.
I never saw WALL-E.
Yeah, come on, you've seen WALL-E. You got kids.
No, I never.
That's like the little Disney robot thing.
No.
Anyway, maybe we'll have a little. I want WALL-Es. Why do we have humanoid robots? We need little WALL-Es. That's what we need. Okay, so let's talk about Tesla here from the options side. I pulled some information from the private community before, just the little robot in there. And yeah, it's interesting. So this is actually the expiration net positive, net negative for the day in terms of puts and calls. You'll notice that it is all over the place. And actually, the perfect place for Wall Street to close it would be, I think, today around that 680 level. That would be a perfect place for Wall Street to close out and make some optimum cash. Between this 660, 680 is very glorious for them. They make the most amount of money. And as we always say on this stream, remember, most options expire worthless, don't they, Ty?
They do.
That's why net credit is good.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. Sell insurance. You don't need to buy it.
That's right. And when you do buy it, think about how you're buying. It's like someone said to me before that supposedly Cathie Wood is buying a whole bunch of, she's moving out of some tech and buying more genetic kind of therapeutics, CRISPR style stocks. And I think, hey, I agree. I'm all on the CRISPR bandwagon. I think that they're actually relatively well priced in the market compared to other things for the investment side. My opinion only, of course. But when you look at the options, if you were buying a straight call on those, Ty, you're paying like 20% for probably a month and a half. Yeah, I don't know exactly what they are, but I know they're damn expensive.
That's outrageous.
It is outrageous.
It's outrageous. I mean, you got to know the right price. I mean, far out. If you're paying too much for them in the first place, you got to be bloody confident in the move, don't you? Surely.
Exactly. And
even if you were, you're still paying too much. So yeah, no.
The other one No, the other one that's interesting, and of course, a lot of eyes will be on this today, is do we go back to the 50 exponential moving average on the NASDAQ? And we'll talk about where it is in a second. So, optimal kind of close here for the NASDAQ today would be between that 360, 355 in terms of that's where if you took all the puts, all the calls, slammed them in the middle, and you said, where's the best level for them to expire it? It's in that range here. This range here is all green, all good for Wall Street to take lots and lots of cash off everybody else. So we'll talk about whether that's actually possible. Let's get into the charts on it. So US 100 coming into the open, similar to yesterday, buying the dip at this stage. People are buying these futures. It's actually just gotten out of that series of lower peaks. Tyrone over here, you've got lower peak, lower peak, lower peak, lower peak, and then again a lower peak here. And yeah, not too bad. I mean, it's broken through. I can see why people would have scalped this so far long at this stage in the futures. This is a good little level. We love talking about this. And the question will really be what happens after the first hour. Is this going to be a 15-minute flash in the pan when the market opens and goes boom, 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 boom? Everyone starts buying from the retail market. The hood traders come in. You guys come in. And then it's all over? I think it could be.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Look, I reckon the next week is going to be very, very telling for these markets. I don't know if the sell-off's going to come, it could come tonight. I mean, the thing is, can you just pop up, if we can go to the S&P 500, I noticed something on it this morning. Can we just go there just for 1 second? Because I think it preempts what might happen here. If we go to the daily on the S&P, you'll notice that the pullbacks, we'll just zoom it out a little bit so you can see a few more pullbacks to the 50 moving average. Here we go. So every time it's come back down, like you can see here that this is the first time that it's actually come down and it hasn't fully retraced the next day. Mm-hmm. So although you can see every single one of those last moves in the last four, it's basically had a bull candle that's basically replicated and extinguished the negative candle on the way down. This is the first one that hasn't. So although they are still fighting it, there's no question about that. They're not letting it go without a fight. It's the first one that's shown a little bit of sign of potential weakness, that maybe it's going to have a little bit more trouble getting past that 20 this time than all of the previous attempts. Like that, those last 3 or 4 that you can see, basically it just revamped straight back above the 20 in one day, bang. This one is not quite the same. And a little bit of a while ago, maybe even a couple of hours ago, that candle was looking a lot worse than that. So interesting. I'm starting to see that the jitters are starting to come in a little bit. I think this is also the weakest recovery candle.
Yeah, weakest recovery candle, and also first recovery candle to even partially respect the 20 on the way back up. Like every other one just blasted that 20, just destroyed it. This one actually found resistance at the 20 yesterday, yep. And it worked out to a T, because if you actually look at the US 500, it actually did hit the 50, which we expected it to do after it closed below. Then it rolled back up. Then it sold off that level. And of course, it's rallying today into the open. For bulls to be committed back into this trade, I feel like it needs to get above yesterday's high, place a close, and maybe the bears have really lost. I mean, that's how big this is. This is a big deal candle. Big deal day, I would say, Ty.
It is a big deal day. Big deal close to the week. Love it.
Yeah, so it's going to be fascinating to see what happens in the first hour or 2 hours of trade.
That'd be good.
Here we go over to the US 500 fake market futures. Yes, it's bulling at this stage. Again, we can't be too sure of anything in particular. We've got our peak. We know where the bulls fully get committed. That's the 44.20 on the fake market futures. We know where the bears get fully committed. That's going to be around 43, kind of 43.80 probably on the closure. So I'd probably put it just there. And these are the two key levels that we'll be looking at today. At this stage, fake market futures are up. We're still just under an hour away now until the market opens. But what do you guys think? Bullish or bearish today, guys? What are you? We've shown that the options would technically be bearish. That would be the best thing for us to see. We've also seen in the current price action, as Tyrone mentioned, it hasn't gone above that 20 EMA straight away. It's respected it and come back down. So are you bullish or bearish for the trade session? Let us know right now. It'd be great to know. Quickly scroll through some of these comments and see what's going on there. Alan says needs to be bearish. It does if you're a bear. Really, really does. John S. John S. doesn't care because he's in bonds. He thinks it's all good. Bonds up. We'll go through that. And then a bunch of other people going bearish. We've got Tyler Webb says apish for me. Anyone been on Wall Street Bets today? Can you report back? What's the general sentiment? Is it buy? Is it BTFD? I hope it's BTFD.
We're getting a lot of mixed signals here today. Like we've got a bit of a 50-50 happening, actually. I think as many people think it's going down. Yep, it's good.
That's good. We need that. Uncertainty.
And you know what? Good. You take the general consensus of this room, and we're probably 50-50 on the action of today. And lo and behold, that's what the candle's telling us, really, isn't it? There's indecision everywhere here, so it's going to be interesting. Yeah.
Let's move over to the VIX now, Ty, because volatility is obviously, sometimes red in the fear index. Now, I've made a point on the channel recently, and I talked to you guys about this yesterday, that I want to see a big, dirty close on the VIX, 22 plus on the weekly. We have not seen a significant close. Every one of these big, huge fear rallies has not actually closed above. Even during weaker kind of fear rallies back before the pandemic crisis, we didn't see any big closure aboves. This is significant. We get a 22 plus closure here on the weekly. It's actually quite rare, and it has almost every time led to further weakness. I think almost every time, like probably a 9 out of 10.
Yep. I've always said that, really, for me to believe the story that it's finally going to go down to the promised land, we're going to need 3 big red candles in a row. And it still hasn't happened. So that's why I'm still not totally convinced that the market's just going to capitulate from here. Not that it's going to, completely blow apart every level going down, but we haven't had the big 3 yet. We need 3 absolute day candles in a row that's going to kick in all the margin calls, kick in everything that is basically propping it up, because then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Once all the margin calls start to get hit, people can't afford to hold their positions and everything starts to sell. But that has not happened yet. And I thought yesterday's candle might be the one, but it didn't. They certainly pulled it up to around that 20. But again, I still think this is the weakest recovery we've had in the last 4 tests of the 50. So it's going to be one to watch, especially knowing that we're only 1 week away from September now. And, we think that probably September is going to be a week. I think that's pretty common knowledge. So is this the one? Is tonight the one, Thomas?
I kind of hope so. I mean, it is a big options expiration day. That always creates funniness. But whether look, what I guess I don't want to see is the market go back to being bullish again. I think it's healthy to have proper returns. We've talked about a stat here today that I got off this website here. And you can see this is the amount of days, literally it's that rare, that we have had without a 5% pullback on the S&P 500. So this is almost 200 days. These are the only periods other than that without a 5% pullback. Man, there's some big runs here. Look at this, 404. I forgot how big that run was, really. 2016, 2018. Are we in that type of time? Wowzers. But other than that, they were all during those 90s periods where the US economy was like crazy. We had a little bit coming out of the recession. Previously 210 was the number. And these the 91s were the big runs on the US economy. And then, of course, that one that happened during the 2016, 2018 period. But we've got to remember, if you look at the price action before that, Ty, during this period over here, it was actually very sideways. I remember the US just being like this. It was almost like that for like a year. And then it went boom.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, funny, you've got the August 20 there to the day, Thomas. 2015, August 20 end date.
It's true. Probably more of similarity than anything else, but it's true. It's there. It's absolutely there. Look, we'll take anything we can get right now. Why not?
Yeah. Hey, you got to take every clue. It's there. It's glaringly obvious. It's today.
Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. Thanks very much, by the way, for everyone joining us that's giving us the big thumbs up. If you guys do enjoy our content, please do thumbs up the video. It does help us get exposure and therefore build the community out and make the content better for you guys. So we'll keep going through. We've got the VIX. We're looking for a 22 plus close there. We'll go over to the dollar index. Yep, that thing's totally running. Forex being the best trade of the week by far, Ty. I wouldn't even best. It's the best. The dollar index is flying, and this has led to some really great currency trades, hasn't it?
Oh, it's been a bonanza. Absolute bonanza. The dollar index is just doing all the right things for all the right pairs, really. It's absolutely smashing the euro, smashing the Aussie. The US dollar CAD is just on a tear. It's going to hit 130 quicker than I thought. It's well on the way. It was only about 40 pips off it today. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been technically perfect too. Like if you look at the pullbacks to all of the right levels, that 20 pullback there, like that was just so easy to trade. I know a lot of people traded this. I mean, the obvious short on the euro, but it bodes well. I mean, yeah, and this, to me, is a big indication that you can see why the US stocks might be under a fair bit more pressure than it might be seeing on the charts right now. Like this is looking strong, and this is probably not going to stop.
I would think this begins longer term participation. Now, does that mean for everyone? I notice a lot of people do this. They go in, they scalp it. They think, oh, it's going long. I'm buying. Yeah, well, you're looking at a weekly. You've got to think, okay, a weekly can take a while to play out, but this is voting incredibly strongly here. We take that double bottom action, we bring that out, and we extrapolate that. That's going into previous supports. It even proofs pretty well. Obviously, issues around 96, issues around 94.60 to stop it. I think it will stop here for the first. I mean, it'll go straight into that weekly 200, I feel. And then it will pull back a little bit. And then that creates that swing trade. And I hope there's swing trading here on the dollar index. Could be good.
Yeah, I think the 96, 97 is almost going to be a formality if this keeps going from here. It just needs to break just a little bit past. If we get a close, I want to see this close though, right? Like, yes, we've had a big day today. But at the end of the day, I want to see this tomorrow morning when everything's closed. If it's hovering around here, I'm going to be very, very excited about what's going to happen to those pairs next week. That's for sure.
John S says we're lucky because we get leverage here. Or we get more than 3x. We actually been reduced recently. But yeah, that used to be a lot
still
more
pretty
than that.
good.
Don't worry about that.
It's still pretty good.
It used to be ridiculous.
Kevin asked, do I sleep at the office? Kevin, look, I'm not going to lie. I fell asleep before this feed and I got an alert from Thomas saying we're on shortly and I made a mad dash to the car. Lucky for me, the office is literally 100 meters away from the house. So, and I still drive. So, yeah, definitely came in and I was not going to let Sid down. I know Sid was expecting me. I wore my t-shirt for him. I told him I was going to be cash and I wasn't going to let him down. So yes, I don't sleep at the office. No, absolutely not.
All right. We've got Bradley back coming in here with the $5 donation. Says, been here since March. Great to have you here, Bradley. Slowly progressing and now able to match TA to my strategy. The private streams have helped a lot. Ready for options. It's great to hear, Bradley. And yeah, I know you've been doing the Ultimate Masterclass. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And we can see improvements across many people in the private community as well. And many people just in the general stream.
I love it. I mean, what we're getting in the private stream now is, technical analysis that we're pretty much, that we're not seeing that, but if we did, we'd be drawing it the exact same way. And there's nothing better than that because everybody benefits from that. Like the rooms are full of, trades that are effectively replicating what we would look at and see. It's not that Thomas and I are the oracles, but we know what logical technical analysis does. And so many people in the room now are really applying that same methodology, really, which is awesome because it means that people are picking up, they're on the same wavelength. We're not talking gibberish anymore. I don't think so. Are we talking gibberish?
Sometimes. But not today. We're talking absolute. It makes sense today. It makes sense. So we've got over here Apple. I just wanted to quickly talk about this. This is another one that's going to be, a huge amount of options expiring today. The optimal zone for Wall Street to expire is around 145. And that would again be underneath the current price right now. So we've got a 147. So again, we've got some optimals coming in here. Optimal for the QQQs, that 355, 360 range. That's the NASDAQ for anyone that doesn't know. Then we've got here Apple, which is about 145. We've got Tesla kind of in that $20 range. Somewhere in there is the optimal options expiration. So there's a lot of markets that are in today's one that are basically calling for slight pullbacks. If it does occur, I mean, that's what they're looking for. Yeah. So when you're trading throughout today's session, if you start to see price action, because remember, we're just using actionable data. The actionable data doesn't get actioned until you see that TA come along with it.
Absolutely.
So when that happens, then you can really talk about that. Mark Halliwood says, all this talk of a correction, it's been a correction since early this year. I'm down 33% overall on all sectors. I'm not sure how that's possible, Mark, but I assume it's hyper stocks and probably some strange stuff that happened in Wall Street's bets. Look, if you've been buying this, if you bought the S&P 500, I mean, the stats are not down. I mean, this. If you look at this, it's 17.5% up on the S&P 500. The NASDAQ's up 12.5, and the Dow Industrials are up between, what is that, about 13.5, 14. So look, we are not that. You have to look at the big overall market. It's a shame that you're down, but this is the nature of the hype beast, the kind of stocks that probably most people have been in. I mean, you look at Tesla, it's down on the year. You look at Roku, it's probably doing crappy. Like, well, the Roku at the start of Feb was up near 480. Teladoc is an abomination if you look at it. I mean, look at this thing. It's down 29%. So I can see why a lot of newcomers in the market are down, but this is the problem. You've got to be looking where Wall Street is doing. You need to understand sector rotation. We went crazy on healthcare, and you can go back and look at it. I went nuts on the channel in that May into June area. I went crazy about healthcare and how glorious it was. And it's done very well, and it's coming into its own right now. And I believe, even though it'll have a correction, that in the future, healthcare is going to be one of those big riders through the next couple of years. And there's valid reasons, isn't there, Ty? It's a mid-cycle, late-cycle type of sector.
It is, yeah. And look, I know it's tough when you do that. So I do feel bad for you, like watching everybody, make money and see the market go up while your stocks are going down. Like it's a really bad feeling, and you start to think that the market's against you. But look, if you're buying at the wrong time, I think that's probably, you could, like I say, Tesla's down overall. If you bought it high, you're going to be down. Apple's the same. If you bought Apple at its top, you're going to be down. So I can understand how it can happen, and I can understand how frustrating it can be. But I think that, you've just got to be really, really conscious of the fact that when a market is, especially when the market is where it is now, where everything is really, although they are down a little bit, the market's in serious stress levels on the way up. If you're buying now, you could be, in for a bit of a fall. But you know what, though? If you buy quality recovers. And I think that's probably the thing that you've got to stick by. The good quality stocks will recover. It might take a little bit longer than you want. I'm not sure if you're able to reload on them if they do pull back for you. But, you've got to have faith in the stocks. As long as you've got faith in the stocks that you're buying. And this is why we're a big advocate for only selling puts that you intend on buying stock on, on stock that you're happy to own. Very, very important, guys. I hear a lot of chatter in the room about people selling puts to make income, but they're not really selling puts on stock they're quite happy to own. Very, very dangerous game, that one. It's a strategy that you've got to employ on a stock that you're really happy to own at the price. You're buying it at a discount by selling the put, no question, if it goes down there. But if you don't have any intention of holding that stock, or you don't even like the stock, stay right away from the sold put.
We'll move over here to IWM, Ty, small caps. People are saying that's been disaster all year. Yep, this thing's in a giant channel, and it's coming back down to the bottom of the range. Remember, pressure on this 208 kind of level. We're underneath the daily 200 now. Generally most kind of crisis or most correction periods, and we are not calling for a monster crash here. I think that is unlikely. Can it happen? Anything can happen, but I think it's unlikely. I think 8%.
Well, I think for that to happen, I think we need a catalyst. We need a catalyst event, and I think
we need this out of
we need even that. I'm not even so sure that would do it at the moment.
Like it will. It will.
It could.
If it's the right one.
It seems to me the right one would. I think depending on the one, but realistically though, without that catalyst event, we're only calling, maybe a pullback to 4,000, maybe a cheeky 3 there would be nice. But that would give everybody such a good opportunity to get onto some really good levels and take it long again. Now that we've got a really high benchmark that it can go for again, it's already tested the ground. So really, getting back up to 4,500 on the S&P 500 won't be all that difficult. Especially if it comes back to the 3,900 when a pullback is steady. So realistically, we should all be welcoming this pullback, because that's going to give you the opportunity to buy and go long and buy for a sustained period of time too, like a good level.
So IWM, the reason we say this is where often corrections start, and if you get weakness coming into the small caps, usually the big caps do follow. Initially, what happens is the money goes into the big caps. The money sits in those because that's the secured safety line. And people need to also remember, you usually see bonds rising at the same time. The reason why this happens is big banks or big funds, they have to be invested. And because they're mandated to be invested, they pull into certain defensive sectors. You see utilities outperform. We've seen that recently. All the signs have been processing together, and we've been covering them on this channel for this type of thing to occur. And therefore, it's the first time we've actually really seen them all starting to occur since this whole crisis began. I mean, we've had corrections, obviously a few little ones, but this is the first time we're seeing rollovers in these big major indices. I'm looking for it to get underneath this 208.58. This will be one of the trigger points, I believe, for the rest of the market. We've already seen things like copper as well start to dive off. That's also an economic health factor. We've had oil dropping down. Anyone that was in oil the last couple of days, you guys happy in your black gold shorts? Because wowzers, this was a super easy trade, Ty. Yeah. I mean, we have been absolutely. I will actually say this: we have been smashing it on oil from a perspective of if you come and have a look at the channel for the last multiple months, this has been very, very good. TA, very good TA.
Yeah. We took it all the way up. We took it all the way down, and yeah, it's been technically perfect, really. And here's the FOMO thing. I remember we were giving out warnings. Yes, there is no financial advice on this channel. I know this, but I tell you what, Tom, when we were doing a webinar a little while ago when oil was trying to push 76, but we could see the weakness there in that lower high, and we had so many people wanting to jump in and buy it. Like we were all but telling
and the
them
article,
to do that.
The article. Let me just quickly go over here for a second. The fake news article that says $100 oil. No. When you get that, no, guys. Yeah. Stupid.
I mean, that was the same. That was written by the same guy who said that Bitcoin was going to 500,000.
That's being written again now. They're writing that. But when I say like I want to see $1 million Bitcoin, that's when you know that it's off its head again. At this stage, I'm feeling okay about the Bitcoin market, actually. We'll go through it soon. So US oil, where's our targets? Well, I mean, of course, 60 is kind of the concept here. First stop, 62-ish, and then 60-ish. Why? Weekly 50. It hasn't come down here in a long time. It's also a psychological just level, $60.
It likes $60 because $60 makes sense for a lot of things. It makes sense for a lot of countries. It makes sense for a lot of everything. 60 is it's very, very good value for oil. And I could see it getting there and probably staying there for a little bit. Very similar to what it did when it did that symmetrical triangle a little while ago before the games began. You could see it doing the same thing again, probably getting there and hovering around that level.
I would like to, and that's what we want, Ty. We're not just going to be like, oh, we love $60. That's great. We've learned better than that, guys. And I want you guys to learn better than that. Take a look at pins. We'll do it in a second. So we get down here, we accumulate through this base, something like this, break up, perfect. We get down, create double bottom, perfect. We need base at 60. That's very important for oil. All right. Well, we'll keep going through some more stocks here. We've obviously so far covered our thoughts on the S&P 500, our thoughts on the US 100. Let me just put this in streamer mode because there's nothing worse than you guys thinking you're getting alerts. There we are. Must be a robot going nuts. And yeah, basically overall we have, let's move into TLT quickly. Some strength coming through back in bonds. Nice closure yesterday. That really signals further buying, you would think, in bonds above the wick. Still underneath our overall trend line, but to me, above the wick is strong. We'll keep scrolling through. And then I wanted to quickly go through, which stock was it? Oh, pins. Yeah, let's bring up pins. So pins is probably a good example, like Baba, like Baidu, like the others right now, Ty, where we just didn't get the base formation yet. Okay. So what we mean by that is, let's say it had come down here, gone up, come down here, gone up again. At that point, we're super excited about it. It's kind of like what happened on Netflix yesterday. A few people were saying, oh, what happened on Netflix yesterday? Well, look at this. I mean, you haven't seen this one, Ty, but take a look at this beautiful setup here. It was super aggressive, which is unfortunate. It means you can only scale partially in if you do proper risk management. But what a beautiful setup here. Drops off, takes ages. You don't want to be in all this. This sucks.
No.
But being here is very good.
That's it. That's the zone. Absolutely. Yeah. I know SW just said that us and a lot of the other channels out there are calling the sky falling. Mate, we're not calling the sky falling. A 5 or 10% pullback is not the sky falling, and not by any stretch of the imagination. That's just a healthy pullback, mate. What we're wanting there is a pullback to actually give an opportunity to actually get in again, because while the market's up at these levels, you know, it makes it difficult to trade with confidence going long when it hasn't had a pullback to give the price a chance to take a breather. So we're not calling the sky falling. not at all.
I'm
In
super
fact,
optimistic.
we don't want that. We do not want the sky to fall under any circumstances. But a pullback of anywhere between 5 and 10% is actually a very healthy thing for the market. You know, and we say that with all sincerity. It needs to happen. Absolutely,
I'm super bullish on innovation. I'm optimistic on the markets. Obviously, I think certain key sectors are going to have really big struggle times over the next couple of years here as innovation takes some of them out, or at least we see it changing in the guard. I've discussed how I don't believe also S&P 500 ETF is going to be as good as it once was. We're going to go into single digits, I reckon, Ty, for the next couple of years. We'll see how it goes. John S., $5. Can we talk about the death cross on bond yields? You always bring up bonds. 50 SMA crosses 200 SMA. CTA are going to switch long and squeeze the shorts. Now, for anyone that doesn't know, John loves the bonds, okay? He loves the bonds. I don't know really if we need to talk too much about how the bond action is going. I think it's going to speak for itself if we get, the next movement in terms of the market. I mean, obviously the bonds are going to get pulled up here. We're looking at the 155 being the next key level for the bonds to slam into. Yesterday was a bullish event here for it. I feel like at this stage it is making sense. Let's have a look at the 10-year though. I mean, the 10-year is also starting to weaken off here again. And I know that John wants this thing right under this level because, John, you get it under this level, then you move back down to the 113 or 1.13. Again, this is very solid stuff for the 20-year. So, yeah, nice stuff coming up if it can get underneath, and all you need is the market to sell off. So we're coming super neutralized here into the open. We'll do a quick Webull check. Let's go into the Webull and have a look at all these stocks. We'll move over to the big screen here so you guys can read it properly, and I'll enlarge that so you can see it. So basically, percentage changes here in the pre-market. What have we got? Let's go with the big caps. So we have Coinbase, 1.92%. We've got Spotify, 1.86%, a hated stock the other day. And then we've got Tesla coming off the back of the super robot human Terminator. And then we've got that sitting at 683. Alibaba, 162 with a 1.15% up. And then some of the other hated stocks, Roku, Twilio, actually up here in the morning. Things that are down, Snowflake, unfortunately, 270. Toyota. I feel like this BGNE is always in either the number one or the number two, kind of like it's either really red or really green. And then we've got SE and a few others. So nothing down heavily here this morning in terms of these big stocks, Ty. It's mostly, and you can tell, I mean, if you look at the market and it's flat as a tack, of course, that's going to be how it is. But again, options expiry today, funny business. We're going into the retail hour, and people have been buying pretty heavily now that they've got pre-market action on a lot of these platforms. Correct me if I'm wrong, because we can't trade Hood here in Australia, but it has pre-market, yes? I think it does. Let us know. Can we have a look at CAT? We certainly can take a look there at CAT. Caterpillar. Oh, it dropped right through here. It's a good example of why you need to get that trigger, Ty. Oh, that's actually pretty nasty. I had the alert, but I never got the follow through. So yeah, I certainly liked this 214 level after it got up here, hit the resistance, failed to get through, which would have been a very big key here. And then it came down, bull hammered on the close, didn't get the follow through the next day. I've learned very well, as has Ty, that we want that follow through on hammers. Hammers are pretty statistically crappy, aren't they, Ty? It's just about understanding what they are, psychology, and where they are.
They've got to be in the right area, or they're absolutely useless. They're about as useless as tits on a bull.
There you go. So no good there for the hammer unless it gets that follow through action. You get the closure underneath. That's a strong sell at that point. There's no redeeming this one, and now it's back into the support. This is heavy support. Let's have a look at the weekly. We need to get an idea of how this is going into the close. I mean, I wouldn't touch it unless you had long-term ideas for it, because it closes underneath this weekly 50. Ooh, CAT's going to get smoked.
Yeah,
it's going to be
that's
really
a very
bad.
Dangerous level for it. It is at that
very dangerous.
I think I'd be wanting to watch and see on this one. Let it play the game. You know what? If it gets up and closes above that 220 again with a daily, then you can start looking at maybe testing those highs again, or at least the bottom of that trend line. But boy, oh boy, if it breaks that 50, it's a long way down without much support.
That's right. I mean, the next really key level here is 173. Let's have a look at the monthly on this. Was there anything? Oh, no. So you got the monthly 20. I mean, it's a long way down. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Cat has been known as well to have like kind of epic runs on it after the financial crisis. Look, it stimulated itself very heavily.
Yeah.
We know this is a sped up one, and then it got dominated over that 2011 period. I mean, that's a significant decline here. We've got basically a 43% decline on this stock, while the rest of the market went up and up and up and up. It's all about timing on these. Timing. This is a sugar rush stock. It's kind of like how I feel on this one over here. I still think this is a sugar rush stock. That's Avis guy. Stupid Avis. What? Avis. You remember this stock? We've traded this stock very heavily over the years.
I do remember it well.
Yeah, you remember the we didn't trade it over here, but I remember it very well off these levels, this 23 level. My God. Sat there for a bazillion times. It came down, sat there, came down. John S says, check out Lowe's. We'll do that in a second. Thank you very much, John S. And then Sandollar77, big supporter of the channel, coming in with the super sticker, $4. Thank you very much, Sandollar. Says, have a great weekend. Appreciate it. Thank you. So John S wants Lowe's. Let's have a look at that one. What is Lowe's code? I never trade it. Is it here? Low, yeah? I think it's low. Yeah, Lowe's companies. There we go. So this is like the Bunnings. The Bunnings of America. Well, Bunnings, Australia, we have Bunnings. You guys have Lowe's. So yes, this stock is also fairly sugar rushy. It makes sense though. I think there is almost more valid reasons for Lowe's to be holding than there is Cat. Caterpillar, has that initial sugar rush type, but then then there's a glut. Whereas Lowe's can benefit from all builds. It can benefit from people rebuilding doing stuff in their house. And this is a fundamental shift. I mean, this was a great pickup for people that recognize this opportunity. I mean, what a great pickup.
Look at that bullish golfing down there at the bottom. Jeez.
Yeah, that was back last year in the crisis period. But I mean, there's some great bullish movements here off these levels. This is again going very bullish at this stage. We go down to the daily. I mean, it's down today, but it's pretty big rallies. Earnings was good. I don't want to buy it here. I mean, I think if you're in it, that's good. You keep following the trend. It's not for me because I don't think the opportunity is there anymore. It's going to be a sideways to slightly down to, maybe you get 10% out of it. It's just not going to be that really heavy movement that you want here, I feel, in the next year or so. But good stock.
Yeah.
SW says Lowe's is like fancy Home Depot. Yeah, we don't have it here, but we do have those ones.
I kind of wish we did have a bit of competition here. I wish they would actually send a store over here and actually give.
Well, technically they did. It just failed miserably.
Masters.
Yeah. No, Masters was heavily purchased in by them, and then it just failed miserably, and then they pulled on Woolworths, and that was bad. The rest was history. They failed miserably. All right, let's keep going through some of these stocks, Ty. So we'll go through some of our favorites. We'll do a quick rapid fire here for you guys, and then we'll keep going with some of the analysis and our thoughts. We'll bring it back to, of course, S&P 500 and NASDAQ as we get closer to the open. So we'll start off with Square. I think nothing really has changed here other than it did actually, it's so marginal. It long leg dojied underneath. So it's like going long leg doji, like rejection, weakness candle, long leg doji again. I mean, very weird trading here. I mean, I'm going more negative than positive, but again, closure above this, then suddenly you're looking at longs. The reason why we started to go negative on Square, not only just because of the afterpay sugar rush that got caused, but also these weekly 2 rejections. That's a very strong weekly rejection. No good to hold for now. I like the company. I'll be back. I'm coming back, Square, but not just yet. Not just yet for me.
No.
We'll move over to Apple, still stuck in the range. As I mentioned before, if you actually look at the options, the peak, the best level for Wall Street to close it today to make optimum profit be about 145. Currently trading at 147 in the morning. A bit too tough to really figure out much direction when you're stuck in a range like that. You did get underneath the 20 as well, which was the first time it's occurred, but it did also rebound straight away. So it wasn't a bearish candle underneath. Not much there for us. Amazon continues to weaken. We've been saying it for a while. this stock is continuing to go down after the buy the dip strategy did not work, unfortunately, on this. I have seen a lot of calls being purchased by large equity players here, but still Amazon's not relenting. It's still looking down. 3,100, 3,000 become the next levels of support. Looks like it's probably going to go down there regardless. And we've got Google, boring. Snowflake, we have now down 3% pre-market. We had the long leg doji inside of the doji. And then today looks like it might be the first day it closes below. I think you've got to watch that. Earnings coming up in 5 days. Enphase, still nothing. It is finding structure at least. Microsoft, perfect close for Microsoft today would be 290 for optimum extraction from Wall Street's options. That would be where they make the most amount of money. So 290 would be interesting to see if it does turn around there. Some food for thought. And then, of course, we've got Michael Burry versus Cathie Wood, ARK K, selling some tech, I believe, buying some more therapeutic style things. What do you guys think? Who wins? I've seen them fighting each other now. They're making articles on each other. What Cathie Wood said, Michael Burry doesn't understand innovation, doesn't understand it. So what do you guys think? Who wins, Michael Burry or Cathie Wood? Chuck it in the comments right now. Ty, well, who do you think wins? The big short man or the innovative lady that kicked everyone else's ass last year and now isn't?
I think he might win the next 3 months.
So you think he wins?
The next 3 months. I think she'll win longer term.
Okay, well, I agree with that statement, but I think Burry he'll be out. He'll have to be out pretty quick. I don't think he would. Surely he's not calling some like insane sell-off. Surely he isn't. I don't even know what he's saying here. We've got Wood over Burry. We've got a lot of people coming in. And then we've got Monica Nakamura coming in with $20. Let's give him, got to go clap, Ty. Got to clap for Monica. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's very generous there. Tom and Ty together are added value. There you go, Ty. You got to come on every Friday. In my opinion, have a good weekend and come back fired up. Oh, yeah, we'll be ranting. Don't worry. I'll be really fired up if we get the QQQ down to where I'd like it. I wouldn't be opposed to it going down to a 355, 360. That'd be pretty nice. It's okay. Yeah, if it happens, it happens, you know? Thank you very much. We've got Wood winning. Then we've got Cathie Wood stomps on Michael Burry. Then we've got Burry here. Got Cathie, Burry short term, then Cathie long term coming in from Greg Hartman. And then we've got Burry winner in August, September. And Shizzy Wiznut doesn't care. Just lots of dollar signs. Just lots of dollar signs, Ty. So RK is showing weakness here on the charts. There's no way you can really look at it that it isn't showing weakness. And therefore, you could say that for the time being, potentially, Burry will be winning. He's shorting this one. So, yeah, that is interesting. ARKG also showing weakness here. Innovation, not the favorite at the moment. All these CRISPR style stocks really still looking weak on the chart. So not much else to say there. Splunk, still relatively boring. CRM, it is kind of looking bullish here, actually. What are your thoughts on CRM, Ty? It's so close. I feel like it's really ready to have a go.
It really wants to have a go, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What I like about it is it's actually built up momentum from a reasonable base. Like it's actually getting lower. You know, those troughs are slowly working up, but it's actually attacked the top from a reasonable point. Yeah, that last 20 touch. Yep. Yeah, it has to close there though. It must close above there. It's got to close above.
Yeah, and this isn't like one of them that moves like 10% a day, guys. It's a slower kind of moving one. Yeah. Let's have a quick look at actually what she did sell through the last couple of days. Let's quickly scroll up here. This is Cathie Wood's ARKy thing. I don't know if anyone wants it. Cathie's ARK.com. Let's have a look at the trades coming through ARK yesterday. So we've got buys and edit. Where's this sell of Square? Sell Square. Oh, that's a very small component of Square, though. Let's have a look at the general holdings now. Or did she sell a lot of Square? Oh, that's actually a pretty significant drop, isn't it? Let's have a look. Weight rankings over time. Man, she loves coin. So TDocs, Roku, Coin, Square really getting dialed down. Yeah, look at that. She's really dialed it down recently. I don't blame her. I think that Afterpay, I think she'll pick it back up. I kind of agree. I didn't know she was doing it, but yeah, I do agree. For gold traders out there, this thing's doing absolutely nothing at this stage. You're still looking at that 1795 kind of peak. I also suggest if you're using gold in TradingView, use the currency.com data because it is more clean. See, that fixes it up. So we'll go back over here and then we'll keep doing the stocks. Trading within this range, I'm looking for a closure underneath this kind of 1778 level on the weakness side and above the strength 1795. It's definitely raw. It's just literally sitting there. It's waiting for the next move. It's holding well against the DXY though, isn't it, Ty?
Yeah, no, it is. No, it's actually, it's hard to trade at the moment. Like right now, I think the move that it did last week was good, but it's gone into the zone where you should be already out, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you should have just.
Oh yeah. This was the clearest level to dump, and this is when you know you've done great TA. When you come up to a role reversal, resistance has become support, becomes resistance again. We get two long leg dojis. Come on, guys. This is for a trader. This is. I'm out. I'm waiting to find more information. That's what you're really looking for. We've got Echo Aurora coming in with Singapore $2. Well, it's Eka's coming in with an analysis here, guys. Let's have a look. Can we spot what he's looking for? So he says team, and I assume this is the one that you're looking at here, Eka. So it's gapped above after earnings, and it's consolidating. I'm not sure if I really love it, but you are in at least a little bit of a range. You've got that little rejection here. So if you're looking for the strong long side, Eka, you know that a closure above this will trigger further buying. It makes sense. You've had some consolidation, resetting those indicators. Remember, that's what really consolidation's doing. It's having a breather. It's run a sprint. Now it's having a breather. Then it will run another sprint. So closure above 343 will be significant. And to the bearish side, if you want to try to fill that gap, you're looking for it to get down under 325. That's a classic little channel, isn't it, Ty, on the smaller time frames?
Yeah, most definitely. It's hard, it's a tough one, isn't it, after it's had such a big gap. But yeah, I mean, this is what you want to see. I mean, really, realistically, it's consolidating in the zone. Can it break up above there? Like, sure. But it's got to do it. And it needs to do it on a bigger time frame than 2 hours, by the way. So once it gets up there, then you go to the bigger time frames, look for maybe an 8-hour break or a daily break of that zone. Then I think you might be good to go. But this is definitely that supply zone. It's considering it.
It really is considering the next move. We've got Nick Calhoun coming in with $1.99. VYGVF down to your zone. My zone. VYGVF. Oh, Voyager Digital. I remember this thing. Oh, look at it. It's coming down. Voyager Digital. It's worth 2.14 billion. Is it down to my zone? I don't know if that's my zone. I don't feel like it is. God, some of these charts are really tough to read TA wise because they just don't have that kind of it's
tough. Yeah, that's a tough one.
The problem is, guys, it's like anything. If you go and analyze Apple using TA, or you analyze other big value, big volume, highly traded charts, then it's good. But if you ever go onto like a 5-minute chart and you don't see much action, or it's very snippy and stuff and kind of has weird candles in it and things, you know it's probably not going to be the best TA. You're going more with psychology than anything else, and your fundamental analysis. I don't really like this chart, unfortunately. I mean, if it comes down back to the $11.30, whatever this is, then you get like a lightning bolt. Sure, I'd be looking here for more action. I want to see lightning bolt. I want to see some real actual formation of strength, because right now even the volume.
I don't believe that lightning bolt that's there now. I think it needs that second leg. It needs to be a double lightning bolt for me. So if it goes up now and makes a new high again, then you're going to start taking it serious. Yeah, then
1750 is a real. That's a huge accumulate. That's where you get participation. Yeah,
you get that, and then you are going higher. And then I think that gives you the clue. Like once you're there, that's happy days. But I don't totally believe. Actually, and it's funny. I actually did a lesson on this on the lightning bolt to the guys I was mentoring this week, actually, about the power of a lightning bolt and how to work out which ones are better than others. And this one definitely does not fit the bill of a good one. So yeah, it needs more proof.
We'll keep going through these, and then we'll do Peabody for Adam. So we've got Disney coming back down. Support is being found probably around that 171, 170 zone. I would look at the calls and options a lot on Disney, actually. I haven't really looked at myself, but that will be one to check out. QCOM really struggling here. It actually doesn't look that great at this stage. I mean, there's nothing too fantastic about what it did yesterday. It's holding on for dear life, because that is not a good closure. Unfortunately, it's kind of like taken out a lot of stops. I feel once you got underneath this wick, you kind of knocked a lot of people's stops out. Long term,
that candle's falling off. Yeah, that candle's falling off a cliff, and you're holding on with one hand, like kind of a couple of fingers. The fingers are getting hurt a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Yeah.
The chances
I feel like a lot of traders stops. A lot of traders stops are certainly out of that at this stage. From an investment standpoint, obviously, it still does perform well over the next 2 months statistically. However, that is weakening there. TDOC on support completely. This is actually one that could be a sleeper. I know a lot of people hate this stock, and for good reason. But at some point it might come good. What you're looking at here is you've got very good support. You've got obviously very solid. You know that someone bought here, probably Kathy Wood. She believes in it way too much, more than I do anyway. And then it's got a good double bottom potential here. So look for volume increase if it does go through there. Set alerts. That's the type of one that you can come back to and have a look at. Barber remains just, I know it's up pre-market right now, but guys, this thing is just, they're all so terrible. Barber, Baidu, JD. I mean, JD is on, I guess, a support, if you want to call it that, but these are all catching the knives. Can you be successful? Sure. But if you've been doing it consistently, you're probably well down on those stocks. Snap, I'm going to take that off the list because it's being a waste of time. Twilio. So Twilio still not enough action to the bull side. You'll notice it's rejected 3 times off this level now. So I would actually dial that in when I see that on a daily. Get like a 2-hour up here. And there could be some good day trades there. Look at the options market. Look at repair through these as well. That's the type of thing that I'd be looking at there on Twilio. NVIDIA, we've got some questions about this before, Ty. Had a decent rally in it. A lot of people talking about it yesterday. A huge long leg doji. This should lead to some decision made. So I would look for a closure above or below. I know that's not that helpful when you're in the middle of the range, but that's the trigger that we would look for.
If you're in, you kind of screw. Yeah, if you're in, you got to wait. But I think it's a pretty easy buy or sell though. If it gets past either,
I think both are good. Yeah, both are good for trades. Yeah,
no bias at all there really. Either will be fine.
TAN, well, that's getting dominated by the infrastructure bill stuff. Roku continues to weaken. I know it's up right now, but this is a falling knife into possibly the 320 level. And then we had Netflix having a great day yesterday. That's probably over if you missed it, or it doesn't have that much length in it. And then we've got Spotify coming down. This is very close to that next level. I mean, this, you can see here, this 196 zone. I'd go look at options on that as well. See if there's a put wall behind it, because it's getting down to a zone that you're starting to look for structural rebuild here, aren't you, Ty?
Yeah, that's a great level, actually. It's coming. It's a very, very important level.
Pretty cool level. So we've got Peabody Energy coming in from a question here from Adam. Let's take a look at Peabody. Yes, long leg doji daily. Oh, on the trend line, which is probably not that super solid. Let's go to the weekly. Get an understanding of where this is. So this is a coal, yeah. I can't get behind coal investments. They have these rallies that are epic, and then they just get dominated. Peabody, if you actually looked at it, wasn't this Australian? Wasn't Peabody Australian? I feel like it was. Anyway, these I've seen some coal runs over the years, and they've been massive, and then they get absolutely dominated. So I don't particularly like them, but from a daily trade standpoint, you've got long leg doji. If you're wanting to go bullish, of course, closure above here should be signaling in quite a lot of buys. You've got a trend line, and you do have some previous kind of resistances becoming support. So this is the zone. If it's going to find strength, it has to find it here.
That's the role reversal zone. If it goes from here, I can definitely make a case for it to, at the very least, get to that previous high. If you're going to do a short scalp on it, that's probably the easy trade. Yeah, that would be the easy one there.
Probably the easy one. Scott Morgan, $5. This is coming for a guy in our morning group. Is TTCF at a buy level? I personally think it's going to $12, TTCF, and then we'll dial in on the rest of these stocks. This tattooed chef is incredibly popular with retail traders. I have never tried it. I don't really know how, if it's good or bad or whatever. I assume it's like, what do we have here? HelloFresh and stuff. They send it to you, like food delivered to your door. Did well during the pandemic. Probably may not do that well right now. Look, it does trade technically because you got a double bottom over here. Great movement and, of course, very strong gains. You've also seen it gap below. It's on support. So that's why, even Blind Freddy could see this tie. Everyone can see the support.
Yeah.
But is the support good?
I do. I agree with you, Scott, that if it breaks that that support zone, I agree that I think it is going to $12.
14, it'll definitely next stop.
Yeah, it'll probably get there in a hurry too. But it's got to break that zone, so you'd want to be watching out for a close, and it needs to be, because it's a strong support zone. The stronger the support, the more important the time frame of the break is, right? So you don't want to be looking for a 1 hour or 15-minute break. You want to be looking at something a bit more substantial. I wouldn't be taking anything more than probably or any lower than a daily on that. If you haven't got a daily close on that, I wouldn't be thinking about the short. But if you get it, I think you're right on your assessment. 14 is probably the first blocker.
Yeah, 14 for me. That would be the level I would think it goes to. It had a big buy off that last time. Look, earnings is out for this, so you can't say it's earnings or anything like that. We'll save it. I like the buy if it gets through 17. That will put base in, and then you can look towards filling up to 19. That could be good percentage. But yeah, from this perspective, at the support, that's the main thing here. I'm not a huge fan of this old thing. FinViz show TTCF over 30% shorted stock, so entire retail crowd waiting for the big run on it. It's another one of the short squeezes. Yeah, that makes sense why everyone's going crazy. They're going crazy. Then we've got Sean Tay reminding us there's only 4 minutes to go. Don't worry, we're aware. So we've got the market coming in here green. Obviously, we've got US 100. We've got the US 500. So the NASDAQ and the S&P both coming in green. If we're taking a look at the 4 hour here on the US 500, you can see the important level for it today, 44.20. We'll put down the line. Very clear that it's 44.20. We'll also switch over here, Ty, so everyone can see the full screen. They don't need to see us coming into the open. This is all they care about. What do you want to have a look at? We obviously know you all want Tesla. What's the other stock? Put it in. Spam that stuff in the chat, guys. Does help us out. And I want to say a big thank you as well to the 1,250 people joining us for this open. Ty and I greatly appreciate your likes, your subscriptions, and, of course, your comments and just being here, your viewership, most importantly. That's very important to us. So we'll scroll into 15-minute for Tesla. We've discussed between the 680, 660 range is good for expiration today. That's the honey hole. Anything above that is bad for Wall Street. This is options expiry day. This is where it matters. US 100 currently going for that 15,000 zone, which will be the key little area. If you were trading on the futures, you probably should have got a little long in here. I think this was a very classic technique long. We have a massive amount of lower peaks. We see a closure above. Nice rally into this level. So we're going to open at resistance on both of these markets. Straight into resistance early, Ty.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. I think it is going to be one of those cases where it's going to start off strong and fade throughout the day. That's my thoughts on it. Actually, someone asked about my thoughts on the hammer on the S&P because I said that if they're not in the right place, they're basically useless. Yeah, and what I mean by that is a hammer at a really, really strong roll reversal zone, for instance, or on a 20 moving average where you're expecting a move up is fantastic. But a hammer is not a good indecision candle in the middle of a zone where, it needs to be believable. I think the hammer, you need to understand what the price action is actually telling you. And the bigger the wick, of course, the more important the hammer, because it really exemplifies the difference between the buyer and the seller dynamic. So, I don't think that it's the one on the S&P 500 at the moment. Yeah, it's one of those ones where I'm assuming you're talking about the one on the daily. That is in the middle of an area where I wouldn't take any notice of it.
There we go, guys. We've got 15 seconds till this open comes in. 682 pre-market Tesla, QQQ is the 365. Best options expiration is 360 for Wall Street to make the most amount of money. And we've got 15K almost on the NASDAQ numbers. So ding, 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 ding. We are open. Here we go. Let's see what happens in the first couple of minutes. So we get an initial small start to sell off here. Little 5-minute long leg doji on the 5-minute chart. We'll see what happens there. We got very close to the 44.20 for the S&P. So slightly down here early in the market from the perspective of the futures going into the market. And we'll run that through. Let's go to the Webull screener as well. Check it all out. Pre-market into real percentages. Let's have a look. Illumina, Spotify up 2.22. Tesla up 1.47. Roku up 0.8. A little bit worse than it was before. And NVIDIA coming through with a big gain here early, 2.31%. All those calls coming through and the hype. Certainly one that was heavily hyped yesterday. Remember to follow FX Evolution on Twitter as well if you want to see the daily biggest trades in terms of calls and puts, because NVIDIA was the biggest yesterday, the biggest. And that was leading in. Snowflake down 5.4%. Bit unfortunate there. That seems to definitely got through that trend line at this stage. And the rest is just a lackluster kind of sea of red. Nothing too huge. We'll scroll through to some of the pumpy stocks. AMC very quiet at 34 and GME quiet at 155. So the market's open here, Ty, and Spotify up now 4.4. Doesn't want to go to 196. It's like, no, stuff that. We'll go long right now. Chinese stocks up 2.72 after having a really bad week, and Apple holding a 0.49. So that brings our markets to now slightly down on the S&P, slightly down on the Dow early here, and the US 100.12. I'll just remind people that we did open close to resistances. So for day traders, you're looking at really trying to get through those resistances ideally. And for Wall Street, it is ideal for them to push it. I mean, from a money standpoint, it would be ideal for them to push it down, you would think, and expire things at more key levels. So we'll see how that plays out. What are your thoughts, Ty?
Yeah, I think it's probably doing exactly as you would expect it to. I don't like markets that are opening right at resistance because you get this quite often. It'll push up to that, touch that resistance point. Yeah, trick everybody into thinking it's going long, and then it's going to mess around and probably take out very short or close to the mark stops. Mm-hmm. So yeah, realistically, is it going to be above that resistance anytime soon, like in the next hour or so? It might pop above it, but I don't know if it's going to be long enough to actually get a good decent amount out of it. So if you're not already in it, unless you're already going long, I mean, you probably should be taking profit at this level anyway, shouldn't you? If you're already in it.
This would be the profit zone from most TA perspectives. Yeah, like 15,000 is certainly the TA resistance, and the S&P 500 is around that 44.20 is the TA resistance. So we can see here. I mean, for anyone that's wondering, I did post this before. Let me have a look. Where are we? I did post it. Yeah, there we go. So I posted this one before because you can see the very good trend line here. That like basically you got underneath this level, but that trend line, we know that if you get above, you start repairing. So that's what the repair is coming through at this stage. Yeah. All right. So the market is attempting this 15,000 early. Let's see how it plays.
What's that dollar index doing at the moment?
DXY. It's basically going down a little. 4-hour charts falling off.
Oh, yeah. That's all right. I just saw it. DXY tops in for now. DXY's had a great run on it. It's had a good run. Yeah, I think it's just probably pausing here. What I don't want to see on the DXY is a big sell-off, to be honest. Like, I think I'd really like to see that daily close somewhere close to the high. Even if it mucks around today, as long as it gets up there and closes by the time the market closes. If it gets up there, that'd be great. I think it bodes well for really good trading next week. I think the dollar index is important for us and for the stock market.
Yeah,
strong
DXY.
Strong DXY.
I think maybe you care about it probably more than the real. I don't think anyone. No, I was going to say the DXY's ratings poison. We don't talk about it too much.
Hey, come on! I got Danyism here. He wants it to the moon. Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
dollar index to the moon.
Well, the VIX down currently. I just want the VIX above 22 on the close. Come on now. Let's get that. That's all.
Xander says the Aussie dollars, the AUD is getting destroyed. Is it really? I haven't got my chart open.
No, we are in monsterized lockdown.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, but it's been getting destroyed, sure. But there's been some good sells on this. We know about this, yeah. You make it sound like it keeps going right now.
Yeah, sorry. I thought I missed something. Okay,
No.
Yeah, it's been getting destroyed. You're right. It's been absolutely it's capitulating. Yeah, and I hear you.
Microsoft just hit 300 again, a key level for people to be selling off. So that just hit finalized its target there. If I was in Microsoft and I was trading it, would 300 be my target? Yeah.
Well, yeah.
from a technical, psychological standpoint, hell yeah. So this is the zone to watch, guys. This is the point that you want to be checking out. 15,000 on the NASDAQ. Obviously 44.20, I think, on the S&P 500. These will be key areas to continue to watch through the session. Will this be a start of an early morning kind of Wall Street fake out where they push it up, hit the resistance, let people buy for a little while, and then dump it, or dump it, as they say? That could be quite likely. So finishing thoughts here, Ty. What are your thoughts moving into the end of the session? Do you kind of reiterate that, or is there any changes to? Do you think it's a fake out special or what?
Yes, it's a fake out special.
All right, Tyron's put down the fake out special.
Absolutely confirmed fake out special. I'm going to run with it.
That is definitely generic in nature.
Yeah, no. Jeff says nobody was talking about the Tesla bot. We talked about it earlier, Jeff.
We talked about the Tesla robot. Don't worry.
Yeah, we're terrified of it. We're terrified of Skynet. We're terrified of iRobot.
Look, the thing with it is it's a great idea in terms of theoreticals. Like AI obviously is the future here. I've no doubt that AI is going to be a huge part of the next couple of decades. Whether the problem is like, will it really, it's very far off. So you've basically got to get your investment goggles on, and then you've got to go over and say, okay, how often do Tesla successfully implement their ideas? Are they like Google and they suck at doing it? Because I probably shouldn't say that on YouTube. But I remember like Waves, what do we got? Google Plus, we've got Hangouts. I don't know. There's like 70 canned projects. YouTube obviously being one of the most successful. So that's what you're looking at. How often do they implement it and then pull it off? And how long does it take? It's all about the delays, guys. So I would look with Tesla, I'd look more at the near term. And if you believe the cars, the current sellout, the current movement into the technology there, plus, of course, their road technology and their robotic cars. If that's what you're looking at, sure. But this whole human thing is very far off.
We just got demonetized because Thomas bagged out YouTube and Google. We're about to get
I'm stating facts. They can projects. You can look it up. They can projects.
Actually, John Moore asked a question about wouldn't the Aussie be going up because Aussie equities are getting crushed because of lockdowns? Mate, you wouldn't believe it. Aussie equities can't stop going up. They don't care about lockdowns. The Aussie equities are just going up and up. We were hitting all-time highs not that long ago.
You're not going to see a crash in our stocks due to the lockdowns. It's just going to put pressure on the monetary policy, which means more debt, which means more taxes in the future. That's the bad part. All right, guys. Well, it looks like we're putting a little bit of a top in here early. Let's see what happens. Obviously, you want to start dialing in here if you're a bit of a day trader and starting to look at these kind of key zones. The market has started well early. Snowflake obviously getting belted here really, really hard. And Microsoft hit the 300. That was all important. And the rest of the stocks, other than some of them like JD, not really moving it hugely. Could be a bit of a quiet day, maybe a little bit of inside. Look at these key levels. And we will see you obviously on Monday and through the weekend for our recap of whatever does end up eventuating today.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. I think next week's going to be good. Thanks, everyone. Lovely having you here. And thank you for welcoming me. I'll hopefully see you again next Friday.
Thanks very much, guys. Bye for now.